Hello, Eric Michael here with a bit of a status update. Wow. I have a status update on the Bobcat situation for whoever was curious about how that developed. A couple days ago, I was recording a chapter down by the shore, and I believed a bobcat was stalking me. I could sense him. My senses are heightened out here in the wilderness, and I could sense him. And then after that, I went and I saw him. He pounced at me in the tufa formation behind me. He went, "Rawr!" He pounced at me because I was intruding on his territory. And the next day, I've recorded another chapter, and I went into the area where he was preying on me from in the trees. So I went in there to assert dominance. And I think it worked because we were now tied. You know, he preyed on me. I went, he roared at me. I asserted dominance. We were tied. We were even. The score was even. And after that, I went back into the tufa formations to break bread with him. You know, we were tied. Call it even, buddy. You know, let's squash this thing. I'm trying really hard to commune with the wildlife out here, and the bobcat was kind of my first test. You know, my first hurdle, and I went up there with human food. You know, I had pickles and olives. Or not pickles and olives. I had pickles and licorice. I don't have any olives. I wish I had some olives. I went up there with human food, pickles and licorice. He did not come out. I laid it on the ground in little like a breadcrumb trail to me, you know, and I was waiting, and I was playing smooth jazz on my phone with the breadcrumb trail. It led to me with smooth jazz playing. He did not come out. That didn't work. So I went and I scoured through my resources, and I have a camping box that's just old as all hell, you know, and has old MREs in there, and one had a tuna packet in it. God only knows how old it is, a decade plus, but MREs stay okay, I guess, for forever. They're like the cockroach of the food empire. Anyway, I got the tuna packet. I went back up, spread the tuna, just like I did the pickles and the licorice. And I put a little breadcrumb trail, and it led to me. But instead of smooth jazz, I was playing the theme song from The Lion King. And I know bobcats, lions, they're not the same, but mountain lion, bobcat, close enough. So I thought maybe, you know, he might come out. Guess what happened? He loved the tuna. He loved the tuna so much that he came out. He crawled out, and he started, instead of rawr, he started purring to the theme song of The Lion King. And it was this like beautiful communion moment, you know, for me to commune with the bobcat, you know. And then he invited me into his cave. Funnily enough, you'll get a kick out of this. The bobcat's name, Bob. Who would have guessed? You know, so anyway, Bob invites me into his cave. Turns out, not all bobcats are feral. Quite the contrary. This bobcat was more domesticated than most house cats. I would argue that Bob is more domesticated than me. because Bob's cave was fully furnished. His cave was fully furnished. I have maybe a couple pieces of furniture here, a chair, a desk. His cave was fully furnished like a New York high-rise apartment in downtown Manhattan or Brooklyn or the Queens. It was like Queens. I've never been to any of those places, but I've seen them on TV. And his cave was fully furnished like a high-rise Manhattan, downtown Brooklyn, Manhattan skyrise apartment. And he had all these furnished things were all leopard print, like he had some leopard fetish. But it was like really cool. He had a little disco ball. He had different things. He offered me some of the tuna back. He thought that I would want it. I didn't tell him that it was a decade old. But the less he knew, the better. So yeah, we ended up having a really great conversation. Bobcats, like I said, not all bobcats are feral. They're not all to be feared. He didn't want to attack me. You know, when he was praying, he was curious. He said I was so curious. You know, and he said I was listening to your story and I was so curious because it was such a lovely story. And not many people come out here and tell, you know, lovely stories to nobody. You're just out here all alone talking to this digital device. You're talking to this digital device telling a lovely story, and I was curious about it. And so we talked a little bit about the story, and he has been listening, you know, in places, different places. I try to stay centrally local to Monument Rock Tufa Formation so that he can, you know, hear the lovely story. I know that sometimes I venture off and he's a little too shy. He doesn't like wandering through the plains. There's Bronchiosaurus, pterodactyl, velociraptor. There's other things out here, and he's just a little shy guy. You know, he's not an extroverted bobcat. He's very introverted. That's why we had this little like quarrel, you know. But yeah, all in all, it was a really fantastic time. He actually lent me this battery-powered fan, because he knows it's deathly hot out here, and he was so worried about me because his cave's fully furnished, and I'm out here sleeping on the dirt, you know. So he gave me this Ryobi fan so that I could, when I get hot, I just put it against my face like this, and I can even make like funny noises in it. Yeah, you know, like. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that we communed, you know, and that the wildlife here is accepting me. And I think that that's all that really matters. I don't know what's next, you know. Now that I've gotten the bobcat out of the way, you know, and we're on these good terms, like I'm excited. I'm excited to continue communing with the wildlife, you know. Where do I go from here? What other creatures are out here, you know, that I can be invited into their dwelling, into their lair, into their fully furnished downtown Brooklyn high-rise apartment? What is under the earth here? If that's what's going on in there, what's under the earth? These are the questions that I would like to solve while I'm out here on my spiritual pilgrimage. This land is so mystic. It's so mysterious, you know. They're just these mystic creatures who can communicate with English. He spoke perfect English. He was a better English speaker than me, and this is my native tongue. He did not tell me much about speaking Bobcat. But now that I've communed with him, perhaps it is a language I can ease my way into becoming more fluent with. Because I believe communication is a two-way street. And I want to show my appreciation by coming into his home, his territory, and speaking his native tongue. You know, this seems more appropriate to me. It was just very serendipitous that he happened to know English. Otherwise, maybe that whole interaction wouldn't have happened. I don't have any more tuna. If at any point in time during this pilgrimage I must make a supply run, perhaps I will get him more tuna. We will see what happens next. But I just thought that it was really exciting, and I wanted to share it with everyone. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna venture out. You know, I'm gonna venture out. I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled. I'm gonna keep them peeled for the creatures. And who knows where we go from here. But I'm excited. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. Like I said, anyone who is interested, I know the Bobcat situation, that it got a little furry for a second, you know, but everything is good. And yeah, I'm excited to keep sharing, you know, my experiences out here. Thank you so much.